John did you that pretty good for
I gave it to
That boy's full, bro.
Every joint I rolled to that Oregon weed doesn't burn good.
Okay, no talking.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
Love you, brother. We're ready when you are, man. As
So,
always.
this is a thing from Openness Mind. And it's about transforming fear. Yes, Joel. Thanks for the weekend, by the way.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wonderful time.
Well thought out, special. Yeah. This is transforming fear. From childhood with its fear of the dark to old age with its fear of death. Fear is a normal part of our lives. But suppose we question our fears. When we study fear calmly, we make a remarkable discovery. Fear is a creation of our minds. We label a certain feeling fear, give it a specific character and definition, and establish rules about how we will react to it. We create a pattern of fearing which takes on a reality all its own. Simply understanding reasons for our fears in an attempt to control them only strikes at the symptoms, not the cause. The real source of fear lies in our minds. Adding more thoughts and concepts only supports the pattern of fear. We need a different approach. Fear is nothing but misapplied energy, a mental projection, an idea. When our body reacts to fear, the body itself is not afraid. The fear comes from concepts and thoughts that we have learned to associate with this reaction. Although a concept cannot exist as a solid entity, the concept can be so convincing that we believe in it. When we believe in it, we give the concept power over us, whether it is real or not. The shadow of fear is always hiding in the gap between our subjective and objective worlds. We have the fear of losing ourselves, of losing our identity. We have such attachment to our concepts of who and what we are that we are afraid of their possible disruption. We can loosen some of fear's hold on us through meditation. Meditation relaxes our usual subject-object orientation. In meditation, internal dialogue is quieted, and when thoughts arise, we do not follow them or attach interpretations to them. Thus, when fear or any other thought arises, we simply let it come and go, remaining relaxed and calm. We can let the fear pass through us, and the meditative state stays undisturbed. Yet, meditation also can open up various blockages, so at times it releases powerful energy. Unaccustomed to such a powerful surge, we may think it poses some threat. We then label this manifestation fear and give it a form. Now we have to break through the thought of fear to unfreeze that energy. It helps to remember that fear is only an association. Fear does not exist until a feeling is labeled and objectified as such. When we can let go of our concepts and expectations, there is nothing to be afraid of. As we observe our fears, we can see that they form no essential part of our nature, but instead are patterns that we have constructed. Simply recognizing the pattern of fear helps us to understand how we are being trapped by an illusion. With this understanding, we can relax and begin to open to the energy within our hearts. We can face our fears directly. This signals that we have made our experience our meditation. we open naturally to further experience, confident in our meditation and its resilience. Seeing that our fears do nothing but restrict our energy can give us tremendous power and strength, enabling us to discover the true dynamism of our consciousness. Nothing in the physical world can protect us from objects of fear. Transcending fear itself through meditation is our true protection. Long ago in Tibet, those who wished to conquer fear would actually go to the cemeteries and sleep among the corpses. They would deliberately allow their imaginations to run wild so as to become terrified. And then they would confront their fear and try to integrate it within their minds. By penetrating fear, they were able to tap the great power centered within their being and use it for meditation. In this way, they developed freedom from fear. The insubstantiality of fear may be understood philosophically, but that does us little good. We must experientially understand what fear is. Then life becomes playful. There is a true story about a Lama who was learning to be a practicing fraud, who is a person who learns to conquer all fear. So, shod training involves 3 months or 4 months of practice, at the end of which a student goes alone to a cemetery every night for 1 week and there performs a certain practice. The student carries a drum called a damaru, a bell, and a horn made of human bones, which is used for calling demons. When the horn is blown, the student calls out to the demons, "Come, eat my body." The villagers are always frightened when they hear the horns blow. The cemetery to which this Lama was sent was in a grassy valley surrounded by high mountains. It was a windy, lonely place, empty except for outcroppings of barren rock and the screams of wild dogs. Now, this particular Lama had been bragging about his powers. For 3 days he had gone on and on, telling how the demons had come to him, how he had subdued them. He was a proud man, but many respected him because he was a healer. The last night of his week at the cemetery, a group of young lamas who did not like him decided to watch and see exactly how he performed his practice. Tibetan cemeteries are scary places. The bodies are put on rocks and tied to stakes and left for the vultures. The vultures leave the hair and the bones. There is a strong, foul stench. The young lamas hiding behind clusters of large rocks saw the shod practitioner go to the center of the cemetery, where he placed a pillow on a rock and sat down. After it had grown dark, the Lama began to blow his horn and call out, "All demons come, all gods come, eat my arms and legs. I'm ready to give all my body to you." Loudly he called again and again, "Demons, come to me now, eat my body." He was praying very seriously and reciting mantras. The young lamas put a sulfur paste on their faces and hands so they glowed at night. Then, whistling softly as they came, they crawled slowly toward him. First he did not notice. He was so busy blowing his horn and praying loudly. Then he saw the glowing faces in the grass moving towards him from every direction. More and more loudly he rang his bell and beat his drum. Again he looked nervously around and prayed faster and faster. But the glowing faces moved closer and closer. Finally, he threw everything into the air and holding the skirts of his robe, he ran off, dropping his drums. The drum broke and his bell broke and he fled terrified from the cemetery. The next day, the Lama's teachers asked, as usual, about the experience of the night before. They also asked where was his beautiful drum that he prayed with in the morning. Every morning before, he had told how he had conversed with demons and how cleverly he had subdued them. But this time he said nothing. Later he gave up the shod practice entirely. So when we practice, it sometimes seems that there are real demons and real fears. We can control them as simple mental events. But when frightening situations arise, it is harder to cope with fear. we may not be attacked by demons in physical form, but there are all kinds of different obstacles that can arise. Even though they have no substance, when we accept them as being real, we make them so. As soon as we see problems arising, we can act. When we are always alert for obstacles, we can challenge them early and protect ourselves. Consider death. We do not like to even think about death. Yet, the time will come when we'll be separated from our bodies. When we all find ourselves alone in our consciousness. So, consider death. We do not like to even think about death. Yet, the time will come when we will be separated from our bodies. When we'll find ourselves alone in our consciousness. At the end, our lives will seem like one night's dream, a very long dream, with all kinds of experiences, but still, a one night's dream. That we have to die is not a pleasant thought. But if we overcome our reluctance to think about it and develop awareness of death, we can protect ourselves from the fear and mental confusion that occur when death catches us by surprise. Suddenly, we are forced to give up our family, friends, loved ones, and possessions. When death comes, nothing can help us. At that time, our intelligence, our beauty, our money, and our power are of no avail. We realize again how beautiful our world is. The gardens, the trees, the mountains, the people. And with this realization follows the profound regret that we only really appreciate living when we are at the point of dying. Life is incredibly beautiful, but we have to leave this beautiful place. We cannot even take our bodies with us. The fear of death is extremely powerful. It is far more intense than any other emotion. When faced with death, we may try to ignore it or to pray, but nothing really helps. More potent even than the physical pain is the pain of fear. Even the word death seems frightening to us because it connotes an end. We may believe that the consciousness and the body are the same, and that if the body dies, then consciousness must also cease. Even if we believe that our consciousness survives after our body dies, we know that in death they must separate, and the thought of giving up our body makes us feel very lost and afraid. But as our understanding of the meaning of human existence increases, it is possible to see that death is not a separation, but a transformation. When we can widen our perspective, we can see that life cannot be lost and it cannot disappear. With the development of our understanding, fear fades. Death becomes a very good teacher. Life and death are parts of an indefinitely continuing process of subtle change and recreation. This process is like a wheel which always turns. Once we have established our karmic patterns, we do not consciously have to add momentum to the wheel. It turns on its own. When we begin to understand this process, then death no longer seems so frightening, because we know that we will have another chance as the wheel continues to turn. As with any fear, it is the label that generates the fear, not the object of the fear itself. When we let go of labeling our experiences as being joy or pain, youth or age, life or death, we can find a certain detached interest in them. We can even be playful with them. We can assume different perspectives at will. No fear of any particular experience dominates us. At this level, death becomes just another word for another experience. Unfortunately, in America, death is a taboo subject. It would be helpful to us if death were more openly acknowledged as a natural part of being, not as a great tragedy. By understanding the impermanence of life, we can fully value each moment. Awareness of death teaches us to enjoy life, not possessively or emotionally, but simply by being filled with the beauty and creativity of living fully. As we realize our responsibility to make the most of our lives, we can deal more easily with the idea of death. When we view death as a transformation rather than as an ending, the pervasive fear of death loses its hold on us, and the energy once caught up in the fear is no longer blocked. We can then use this energy to be more keenly aware of the beauty inherent in the rich texture of our experience. We will have no regrets when we come to die. We will know ourselves as part of the nature of being, part of the cosmos. We will know ourselves as part of the nature of being, part of the cosmos, in this present life and after. Our human bodies are precious vehicles for growth and experience, the only medium through which we can become enlightened. But we must use our human bodies for this purpose, for at the time of death, our best friend is an enlightened mind. Our task then is to strengthen our meditation, to make a crystal of our minds so that there is no separation between inner and outer. Then, with some insight into the nature of enlightenment, all fears dissolve, even the most powerful of fears, the fear of death. Channels toward enlightenment open, and our whole being changes. Before we were sleeping a fearful, fitful sleep. Now we're waking up. As soon as we awaken fully, we will realize the enlightened quality of our natural mind. That was words from the Dharma, and Dharma only just means truth, another way to view reality, as spoken by Lord Buddha. And that was transforming fear. Call it a gem, huh?
Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
A gem.
Thank you.
Piece of jewel. Mr. Joe,
Yeah.
anybody got anything to say? Otherwise, here's more mind candy if you want.
Yeah, one more.
No, you're gonna have to tell me which one. I'll give you the topic so you tell me which one strike you the most.